This is Africa International Network.
At least the major.
It's a bit of a slice. And as I was doing the background for this presentation, I was pleasantly surprised by the breadth and the diversity of research that Södertörn's undertaking in different parts of Africa. And particularly given Södertörn's expressed research profile, which is more centred in the Baltic region. So it's quite a rich selection of research that I'll quickly present to you, just to give you some insights into the research work that we're doing. And I've crudely grouped some of these projects, and my apologies to the researchers involved if they disagree with the groupings. But we're doing some research into diaspora policies in North African states, particularly Algeria. We're doing some research into the role of information management infrastructure in the work of Liberia's Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the role of food aid during the Ethiopian famine in the mid-80s, affirmative action in journalism in South Africa, in the cultural grouping, I've crudely categorised this as cultural grouping, digital and geographic mobilisation of Congo diasporic psychology, and how that's manifested in different parts of the world. Interreligious relations and politics, as well as religious, the relationships between religion and health in Tanzania, Nigeria and South Africa. Under the cluster of urban and rural development of an approach to assess changes in rural livelihoods in Tanzania. That's the project that Vis is working on. Examination of implications of large-scale land acquisitions in rural livelihoods in Mozambique, which is an ongoing PhD project. Development of planning instruments for analysing and monitoring rapid urban growth in Tanzania and Ethiopia. And some of these are attached to our department, some attached to others. In natural resources and development, which is pretty well connected to some of the education programs that Virsa was talking about. But conservation of development interventions in Zanzibar, that was actually my PhD project. We're working in South Africa with small-scale fishes and governance questions. Forestry governance in Cameroon and natural resource politics, that's something that Rolf's been working on. Governance of Lake Victoria fisheries is an old PhD project. And a more natural science-oriented project around coral reefs in East Africa. So that's a sort of a broad slice of the sort of research that we're involved in, and a lot of this research is cross-disciplinary and traverses the natural sciences, social sciences and humanities, which is a sort of ambition of Södertörn's. So just to finish, I thought I'd pose the question to the panellists, given that we're in a university and interested in ideas of needs and ideas around research cooperation. I thought we'd pose this question to the panellists to get them to think about this and maybe discuss it in the plenary section a little later, about what sort of research cooperation the panellists would like to see. Rather than the university initiating the agenda, we see this research as a cooperation, and all the projects that I've presented in cooperation with local universities. It's not something that Södertörn does in isolation. So I thought that we could pose that question for the panellists to ponder and maybe respond to later on during the plenary session. Thank you. I'd just like to thank Uji and Rolf for organising this as well. Great.